And then when all of this comes to the curse being fulfilled, they're just like, oops, oopsies.
Did I do that?
And then they're like, you know what we do now? We put everyone to sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
So that nobody will notice our error.
That's what they saw. They're villains.
Dragonclaw, wing and scale. Come now, let's examine a tale of the greatest beast ever considered. Another episode of Big Flying Lizards.
These kids, man. These kids out here, they're always on the playgrounds, and you know what they're chatting about? These last 100 years, they're asking which princess you want to be. And you got your Cinderellas, your Snow Whites, your Sleeping Beauty. Well, now it's Moana or Elsa, or I guess Rapunzel from Tangled. But as far as I'm concerned, especially after this rewatch, the real discussion, what should really be nailed down, is which fairy do you want to be?
I mean,
okay, so because listen to this. Yeah, you don't get like the uber snatched waist, and the like impossible eyes and hair and all that, but immortality to start. They do describe themselves as, well, they describe others as mortals, which implies immortality.
Yes.
Magic, housekeeping, basic chores, a thing of the past. They also seem to have no oversight or responsibility to the degree that you have the freedom to take 16 years off and just go raise a princess in the woods and goof off and try to make cakes badly.
I mean, not only make cakes badly, but have no idea how to make or bake anything, it seems like.
Yeah, but you just have magic. So you don't have to be good at anything. You're the bippity-boppity-boo.
Yeah.
They have Ant-Man powers? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I know which of the three fairies I'd prefer to be.
Which one?
Fauna, because she's just high out of her mind, just chilling out. Like,
there's the reason she's the green one.
Yeah,
she's so chill. She stays out of the pink and blue debate.
I was really actually hoping that it was gonna. The movie was gonna end with her turning the dress green.
She gets the final word.
Yeah. Well, which one would you be?
Probably the same. Although Merryweather I like her attitude, and I think she's right about most things. Other than you talk about the dress, it should have been pink the whole time.
It should have been, but welcome to Big Flying Lizards, a dragon movie and television podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bryce Wilson, and I am joined across from me, the Merryweather defender, Austin Snyder, Prince of Production himself.
Skumps!
Skumps!
Cheers.
Well, Austin, what are we talking today?
It's a big one.
It is a big one.
Arguably the biggest yet. Today we are talking an artwork inclusion. You know, if you zoom in on that Big Flying Lizards artwork, you may notice a spinning wheel in the corner there. So it's just been a matter of time, a long time coming. Today we are talking about the animated classic 1959's Sleeping Beauty.
It's a good one.
I just to set expectations here, on this rewatch, loved this movie even more.
Yeah.
I think it's actually underrated.
Yeah.
At this point in time, because people get caught up on the optics of the true love wake up kiss and all of that. But there's a lot of good in this.
Philip is creepy. I love this movie, but like I wrote down in my notes, Philip is creepy in this movie.
But he is handsome.
He is. But does that give you a right to be creepy if you're handsome?
It is kind of a sliding scale. I mean, like, overtly creepy, no, but you can be a little more. That's the like the meme.
meme. Yeah.
The only difference is how attractive you are.
Well, we obviously need to dive into something, but I wanted to have this quick discussion with you. Obviously on the internet, the very healthy place that is the internet, there's been nothing wrong or nothing.
Oh yeah, her like frolicking in the woods with all of the creatures, the birds and the owl, like that reminded me of Twitter.
Yeah. Not Mount, what was it? Mount Depression? Mount.
Yeah, she had a killer name for it, I think. But we all know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maleficent's, like pillar of darkness.
But what I really came up to is there's a lot of people that like, they just don't make it. They don't make them like they used to. Like these movies, they used to be amazing, and now they're not. And like, again, I don't want to be stirring the pot over here, but I think I came down to where a lot of people, they're right. They don't make movies like they did during this era, but I don't think it's because they're making the movies woke or they're like, I don't think that's what it is at all. What I see is like, you can see that there was genuine effort put into this. Like every level, like there was something, like people were trying their hardest to do something. Like they weren't like, obviously they're trying to make a profit, but you can tell that that wasn't like their goal in mind. They were actually trying to make art. While today it seems like, okay, like what, and I know it's a common discussion we've had over a few of our episodes, but especially with Disney might be the most guilty. They're just trying to make $1 into $2.
Yeah, because you look back, and I think it's just a matter of where they were still trying to establish themselves so much, where it seems like Walt Disney, you know, that capital G great man, he was more concerned with like making a statement with this movie, and like that it needed to be the most cutting edge animation and a new classic. Like that seemed to take priority over the financial element. Hence this movie being the most expensive Disney movie made up to that point.
Well, wasn't this a bomb in the box office in theaters at the beginning?
Define bomb.
Did it make money in the initial?
So the figures imply, I don't have its exact gross, but I was looking at it earlier. So the movie cost $6 million to make, which is about $65 million in today's money. And it made at the box office the equivalent of about $60 million in today's money. Okay. So didn't make up the budget, but then you re-releases, the disc sales, and what this film has done for the greater Disney brand, in the long run, it's been like a massive success.
Oh, of course. Like I will never say that this movie was a failure, because like it arguably, like I watched, I don't know why this is the Disney movie I probably watched the most as a kid, but
Dragon. It's got a dragon.
Well, no.
Oh, it's not Sleeping Beauty.
It's not Sleeping Beauty. I was Aristocats is the Disney.
Oh no!
I do not know why.
That's the worst thing you could have said.
I don't know why, but that was the one Disney movie that we watched the most as a kid. Like I, to this day, like cannot tell you why that's the case, but but like if you look at like the animation quality, like the artistic style between that and Sleeping Beauty, there is a noticeable difference. Like
what are the differences? So Aristocats is 1970.
Yeah.
So that is over a full decade later.
Yeah.
Too.
And Sleeping Beauty looks like, obviously it flows better. Like the things in the background are actually moving in the Aristocats.
That's the one element that I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why we didn't do that. But when you're just like panning over the crowds of people, they're just perfectly still.
Yeah.
It kind of killed me.
Austin.
They're not asleep yet, though.
For a lot of it, they're not asleep. But before we have any more deeper discussions, do you want to give a breakdown
Well, we should also bring up that we're going to have some pretty big news about the big flying lizards and the future of this podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. It's like the 8th or something when this drops. But it's our first episode in 2025.
Woo.
And there are going to be... We're making some pretty significant adjustments. So I do want to set that expectation here. And if you're invested in the show, the future of the show, make sure you stick around for that. Or, I don't know, skip to the end.
We'll put the timestamp below.
So I just wanted to set that expectation. But from there, you want me to tell you about Sleeping Beauty?
I'd love to hear about it.
Okay. I am doing digital notes today, so I'm going to be doing a bit of a side-eye here, but I think I can make it work. Sleeping Beauty is an animated family fantasy feature from Walt Disney Studios released in 1959. It tells the story of Princess Aurora, who is cursed at birth by the wicked Maleficent to prick her finger and die on her 16th birthday. In an effort to subvert this, 3 good fairies offer to hide away Aurora until the fateful day has passed, but Maleficent will not be so easily thwarted. The film was arguably the most ambitious animated feature ever produced at the time and featured groundbreaking animation rendered in the 2.55:1 widescreen format. At release, it was met with some criticism regarding the princess's lack of character depth and seen as a financial disappointment for failing to recoup the production's sizable budget. However, Sleeping Beauty has since been reevaluated and is now seen as a lesser classic of the original Disney canon. Already hinted at it, but I guess I'll just phrase it like this. Did you enjoy this rewatch as much as I did?
Yes. This is the short answer. Yes. The longer answer is I don't think I really like. My parents tried their best to make my siblings and I Disney kids. Like every Christmas, my dad would get us new DVDs of a Disney movie that went on sale.
I think he has enough points to buy Disneyland now.
I'm pretty sure Dave Wilson,
the Disney Reward Program, Disney Movie Rewards.
There are very few people that, because at one point he was like, I want to be able to have us go to Disneyland for like a month. That's what I'm saving the points up for. That's not what my dad sounds like at all, but yeah, like to this day, I'm not really a Disney stan, especially again in Utah. There's some pretty hardcore Disney stans in Utah.
Yeah, the G and PG rated features do quite well here. I'm the same. I pick and choose hard. Like just the fact that it's got that Disney logo on it and came out before the year 2000 doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna love something. This is probably a top 5 Disney animated movie
for sure. I can't wait to discuss, because there are points that I'm just like, I don't recall this. I don't know if they went back and just touched up some stuff, but it looked incredible, some of these points in the movie.
Yeah, and it's a miracle of a movie.
Yes.
Like not to the same degree as like a Snow White, but I do think this is a better movie, and they were still pushing the envelope, like the limits of what was possible here. It's one of those where like you're sitting there having a good time, you're watching the fairies goof around, and then you're like, oh wait, this is hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
This is a tremendous feat of artistry on top of incredible effort. I mean just really every aspect. I do kind of agree with the general sentiment that Aurora is one of the worst Disney princesses, but I do think the movie sort of makes up for that in how fun the fairies are, and Maleficent being like the best Disney villain.
Yes, but I have to say though, the reason I think they struggled so hard is, one, the legend that they pulled from, there's not really a lot of character. And like the whole idea is she's asleep. Like how much character can you give somebody who's like overarching action is she's asleep? Again, I'm not defending it. It's more just like
Yeah. Yeah, she like kind of looms over the movie. Like there's no opportunity to make her a bigger character than she is. Especially with this movie being 75 minutes, which I love.
Yeah.
I am not looking for them to pad that out at all.
You can make the argument that the 3 wishes that the fairies gave her is her character. Like that's all that's all to her.
She is beautiful beyond measure. She has an incredible singing voice. And if she pricks her finger on a spinning wheel at the age 16, she's going to fall into a coma.
And true love's kiss will wake her up.
What more do you need? Okay, there is room for that, but the point, like, there's not much to say beyond that. I think that's just a given, and if you're really off put by that fact, even though she is kind of the titular character, I don't really think that the tension of this movie is actually dependent on her character. It's more the fairies and the Maleficent's story in my mind.
I was actually. Let's have this discussion right now, if that's all right.
Hit me with it.
Oftentimes, like over the years, it seems like a lot of people say, like, just using Game of Thrones as an example, technically Daenerys and Jon Snow are the main characters, but everyone is like, no, Tyrion is the main character of a Game of Thrones. Like, he's in it the most. He has, like, we get to see his character the most. We see, like, a lot of development from him, and you can make that argument. And there's a lot of people who do push that, like, yes, Jon Snow and Daenerys, they're the Song of Ice and Fire. Like, they're the main characters. But Tyrion is actually the main character. You can argue that Sleeping Beauty, in that same vein, like, the 3 fairies and Maleficent, like those 4 are the main characters, which does sort of bleed into a live action adaptation.
Yeah, there's a reason that we didn't get the live action Sleeping Beauty movie.
Yeah.
They knew how to market.
Yeah. Which Maleficent will be discussed on the podcast eventually. We will touch on it, obviously, because there is a lot, I feel like, that is worth going into.
I should just say that I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
I've read up on it a little bit. It sounds like I probably won't like it, even though some of the imagery in it looks really sweet. What do you know my taste fairly well. What do you think? Did I goof up? Should I have checked it out?
Here's the thing, like, to this point, I don't think there's been a live action readaptation of a Disney movie that you're like, yes, I like it. Possibly The Lion King, but even then you're like, it's a money grab.
Oh no, the Lion King, I didn't watch that either, but that seemed awful.
Which one did I think that?
Jungle Book was okay.
Jungle Book, I think that's the one that you were like, yeah, this one was all right. Like,
not great.
Yeah.
Like, very skippable, but that's the one instance that I've been like, eh. Also, I've heard people say good things about the live-action Cinderella.
Live-action Cinderella is actually pretty good, but it also has the actor of Rob Stark as Prince Charming in it, so...
Bias declared.
I will say Maleficent probably is my favorite live-action readaptation of a... And there's so much in the movie of it's all like, again, I don't think they were, but there was so much when I'm watching this movie, they're like, oh my gosh, it's almost like Walt Disney was like alley-ooping a ball up to get the Maleficent movie into the works, because there's just so many like offhand comments where you're like, okay, why, like when she's like, oh, she's probably not that happy, like, we don't ever see like, okay, why is she not that happy? Like, she's supposed to be the queen of evil. Can she just not be the queen of evil? She has to be unhappy as well. And you find out, okay, Maleficent does have a tragic backstory. And you also find out why she's so devoted to a crow out of all of her little minions.
Okay, but tell me, because as I was just reading the synopsis, it seems like the live action Angelina Jolie Maleficent movie like its own thing. Like
Yes.
it's out of continuity with the animated Sleeping Beauty, as best I can tell.
Like the best way I would describe it is Sleeping Beauty is what the history books recorded. Wow. Maleficent.
Yeah, the real story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's sort of taking a page out of Wicked to reference a hot property right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't know the real story of the literally Wicked Witch, you know?
it literally, it's, the parallels are there. I don't think it's a musical. I don't think there's any musical numbers in Maleficent, but there's a lot of similarities there. And
well, speaking of musical numbers, this one, Sleeping Beauty, sorry, if you had more to say on Maleficent, you can say in a second. But this Sleeping Beauty, this is like exactly the right dosage of that for me.
Yes.
Also, that maybe we need the chapter first, but the song they start off with there, it's like Once Upon a Dream or whatever it's called. Banger. Disney banger.
Banger. Classic. Amazing. Do you want me to go ahead and just dive into
Yeah, well, that's me kind of dipping my toes into the actual film. So yeah, let's hit me with we're just doing 2 chapters.
Just doing 2 chapters.
So hit me with the first.
Princess Aurora is born to King Stefan and Queen Leia. A joyous celebration ensues through the kingdom. To solidify an alliance, Aurora is betrothed to Prince Philip, the son of King Hubert, a close friend of King Stefan. At Aurora's christening, 3 good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, bestow upon her gifts of beauty, song, and grace. Maleficent, the evil fairy, arrives uninvited and, enraged at a slight, curses Aurora to prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die before the sunset of her 16th birthday. Merryweather, using her remaining magic, softens the curse, ensuring that Aurora will not die, but instead fall into a deep sleep until awoken by true love's kiss. Fearful of the curse, King Stefan orders all spinning wheels in the kingdom to be destroyed. To protect Aurora, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather devise a plan to secretly raise the child in a secluded cottage in the forest. Aurora is renamed Briar Rose and grows up unaware of her royal heritage, surrounded by the love of the fairies and the wonders of nature. On Aurora's 16th birthday, she's sent to get berries, and she meets a handsome man in the forest, which they have a musical number together and fall in love, because that's how you do it at age 16. While arguing over the color of Aurora's birthday gown, Flora and Merryweather unintentionally reveal Aurora's true identity. Maleficent's raven...
It's not said in the movie, and I do not know how to...
Maleficent's raven overhears the conversation and reports back to her mistress. Told of her heritage, Aurora is told she cannot be in love with the mysterious man in the forest. And they head back to the castle. So, sort of a compact first chapter. I do just want to, before we dive too deeply in, Mary Costa, who is the voice actress of Aurora, is the only Disney princess to have worked with Walt Disney that is still alive to this day.
Oh, how about that?
I think she's 94 years old.
Well, Costa, if you're watching, if you're listening, appreciated your contributions here. You know, it's a big thing that they were worried about her doing this movie, even though obviously she has an amazing voice. Apparently, she had a thick Southern accent.
Really?
That it was a concern whether or not she'd be able to conceal, but pretty fine job if you didn't detect a thing, huh?
I didn't detect a thing. Honestly, what's wrong with a little Southern princess?
I kind of want the Southern cut.
Where's the bloopers reel on there? Come on, Pixar, come out with that before.
But the movie.
Yeah.
Chapter 1. Skumps.
Skumps! Again, storybook opening. Everyone knows how I love the storybook opening.
It's literally the best way to start a movie. Any fantasy movie would be better off starting that. That's my only critique of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy. Where's the book? How do I know that this is a fairy tale?
Maybe it's not. Do you not remember what they said in Return of the King, Costa?
The animated Return of the King, where we get the killer revelation that hobbits are actually just proto-humans.
You might notice that Sam is taller than Frodo and Merry is taller than Sam.
Our episode on the animated Return of the King is still one of my very favorites. But Sleeping Beauty. We start off with the banger tune, some excellent title cards as well, beautiful.
And the whole opening when they're going to the castle visually might be my favorite part of the entire movie.
It's huge. Yeah. It's ambitious. And we talk about how there's like the frozen extras and all of that, but you're getting quite a bit of movement at this opening.
Yeah, none of them are frozen in the opening. Like that happens like 10 minutes after. Once they get into the actual courtroom, that's when they freeze up. But when they're all marching, the banners are everywhere. The knights look so good in their art, like the black plated knights. I don't know.
The art styling is pretty ambitious too. Like they're starting to get kind of the exaggerated human forms, which works in this fantasy setting. And I love how that manifests in the design of Maleficent with her like enormous chin and like long face and body. And she's like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Big dragon energy.
Big dragon energy. I did want to say on the music though, that before I forget, just because I think this is so cool, that a lot of that was actually sort of adapted from the Tchaikovsky ballet about Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, really?
So, like, we're not ballet people, really. But like the music is incredible, and they took a lot of the melodies there and added it here, which I think gives this a really nice aura and this sort of classic tone that's missing to a lot of modern animated features. So that's just me to say that I think by doing that, they established this movie and to like a degree even beyond like the classiness or like the prestige of a lot of the early Disney films, because it's pulling to like music that was written way back.
No, I don't think, to me, there was no moment where I was like, this is not doing it for me. I like, arguably, in my opinion, we go to celebrate Princess Aurora, like that was the weakest song, and still like
and they still open with it, and you're like, yeah let's do this.
Yeah, like, let's go celebrate Princess Aurora.
Skumps.
Skumps.
But they don't waste much time. There you have Princess Aurora, and there's the prince also, and there's like, this is gonna be your wife. He's like this 6-year-old kid, like, what? He looks unpleased,
disgusted. Also, do you notice they didn't show Aurora as a baby, like, at all?
Yeah.
Was that like, what's up with that?
I wonder if that's like they're keeping the very young audience in mind, and it's like you only really want to represent a character one way so that they're able to understand them. But then they show the young Philip, so I don't know.
I just thought
they
it was
just didn't want to animate a baby. The animators, they're just like, no, nothing else.
Well, I mean, you have to give it to Walt. He let the animators go and see their family for 15 minutes before he got them back locked up.
That is a matter of, he did give them 15 out of every 24 because he was a capital G great.
He only killed 1 out of every 7 of them to motivate the other 6 to work harder.
The fairies are given gifts, though.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. I'm wondering what's stopping them from giving more gifts, but I'll just assume there are magic rules I don't understand.
They did say, like, we can only give you one gift each, no more.
But why don't they give everybody a gift when they're born?
Because they're peasants. Peasants, Austin.
If everyone's super, nobody will be.
You know what that is, Austin? That's communism. We're not bringing communism to Europe, that's for sure.
I did not realize that was communism. But then Maleficent shows up and does the most evil thing that any character has ever done in any Disney movie, and it's super fucking metal, and I love it. Because she shows up, and it's not that she kills the baby. She says, no, I curse the baby to die after it has developed into a person and you love it even more than you do now.
All because she didn't get invited to the party.
It's not that hard.
Here's the thing. What's the likelihood that she would come?
That too.
Like, just send her the invite.
And on the off chance that she does, it seems like she's kind of unpleasant, but she's going to be the best dressed one there.
Yeah.
Get people talking.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've all seen Hercules. Zeus invited Hades. Like, what stopped? Like, he's literally the king of hell. Like, why can't they invite Maleficent?
This whole problem is the good fairies' fault. Honestly, the good fairies are kind of goofing up this entire movie, but that we'll get into more of that.
Oh, Austin, if there wasn't, like, the entire time I was watching this movie, and again, we'll talk about it later, I really think that the good fairies are not good.
But they said that specifically their magic is limited. It can only spread good and happiness.
But who is it good for? The fairies or the people?
That's where it breaks down, because Merryweather is like, I don't know, what's she saying? That she wants to just go turn Maleficent into a toad or something?
Yeah.
and then Flora is like, we can't do that. Our magic's only for spreading happiness. And Merryweather goes, it would make me happy. And that's why she's my favorite.
Austin, I want to talk about that, but there's so much to be talking about.
Yeah, there's a little bit before that. I do enjoy the practicality of after the curse is bestowed, that the king's like, all right, spinning wheels. None of that.
How impractical is that?
We do not appreciate in our modern time how important the spinning wheel was.
That'd be like if they're like, close, outlawed, shut them down.
Or, I don't know if clothes is the right analog, or maybe just like cars, it's like no more driving because it's prophesied that the president's daughter is going to die in a car crash. No more driving. Deal with it.
I mean, we're 10 years away, Austin.
Oh, geez, I hope not. The AI is going to turn out to be good and save us. That's my prediction.
Please? Okay, yeah.
We're being good boys. We're creating organic human content to feed them. So we will be protected. Bryce.
For the god emperor Google.
Who we have nothing bad to say.
No, we'll talk all this back on Disney, but not our Lord and Savior.
But alas,
Google.
They get rid of all the spinning wheels. Any other precautions they should have taken, because it seems like their plan is working until the very fateful day actually arrives.
Why did they not stay in the cottage until after her birthday?
So here's my question. Why did she need to spend 16 years anywhere? The curse specifically said on her 16th birthday.
Yeah, and why did they need to hide from her in general? Because they were like, they even acknowledged at the beginning, like, we can't undo the curse. It's bound to happen.
Is that we can only lessen its effects. But for some reason, they're like, no, you need to... this infant needs to be ripped away from her parents and raised in a cottage in the woods.
Okay, I'm sorry, Austin. I just have to. Austin, I wish we had. Kip, this is a shout out. If you guys like folklore, go check out the Alluring podcast. But I'm sure that Kimmy and Ryan have talked about fairies. What's one thing that we hear about in shows, in movies, that fairies are notorious for doing? stealing babies.
Maybe.
Was this just a plot for them to steal the baby and get away with it? Because let's be real, Aurora's never going to view her parents as her actual parents.
No.
Like...
No, but also it just seems like they wanted a baby. And then they're like, well, she's almost an adult now. We can kick her over to fulfill her royal obligations.
Exactly.
The only thing is they did give up magic while they were raising her.
Did they?
See, okay. Now, but I say that out loud. I really, now that I'm thinking it through, I bet they were slipping up all the time. The wands were right up there.
The fact that Merryweather knew where the wands were, and it was it not Flora? Flora was the one who hit him. Merryweather knew where they were. They were cheating. You know they were going to the back room to get that magic, that hit.
And honestly, I don't blame my girls. Like,
no!
Imagine you're, like, all you have to do is just whip it out. And at any given time, any task you're dealing with, and you're just like, man, I just really don't want to file my taxes this year. That sucks. Nobody likes doing that. And then you just like sneak out your magic stick and boop, it's done. And you know what? You're getting a refund this year.
Guess what? This pen, it's committing tax fraud for me right here.
All right. But I love the fairies. They can't be bad, even if they are baby kidnapping on the DL.
I love Maleficent, and she's self-proclaimed the queen of evil. So I also want to point out the actress of Umbridge is Flora in the live action Maleficent.
Inspired casting.
And I'm like, she did such an amazing job as Umbridge that I always see her as an evil person.
Dude, she's in the Jane Austen adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, where she plays like the good version of Umbridge, like somebody who's like the same way. She's like proper and like upbeat, but she's like actually like the happiest person to ever live. And it is such a trip going back to that, which is a great movie. That's like a top 3 Jane Austen adaptation. But shout out to her, whose name I am going to look up. She's not in enough.
Yeah, and she brings it. She's a great actress. It's one of those things of like, oh, she's evil. It's like the actor of Littlefinger. Like, I see him in a movie and I'm like, I don't trust him. He's up to something.
Imelda Staunton. We are fans.
We are fans.
But that, I mean, that's kind of supporting your theory. But wouldn't it stand to reason though? Because like that's the whole thing with the live action Maleficent is that the king is evil.
Yeah.
So the fairies could be. I don't know. Are they evil?
The fairies are more just bumbling fool. They're bigger idiots in the live action.
Oh dear.
Like we see that
Do you see them make the cake?
They don't know how to raise a baby. Like that's like that.
Well, that's awesome. Don't go implying that raising a baby is easier than making a cake.
Austin, if you can make a cake, you can raise a baby. I'll just say that.
Is that going to be the if you can kidnap a pig, you can kidnap this episode?
That is, we're just making our own parables, our own proverbs in this, the Big Liz proverbs.
Okay, but we've established that the fairies' plan to save Aurora is bonkers, but we're rolling with it. We get to the fateful day. She's 16. She looks 23, but it's fine.
She sounds 23.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that that Costa was like
again
30s, 40s.
Yeah, nothing. No. I mean, the fact that she's.
I can look this up.
Yeah, I'm not bashing on her because again, she has an amazing voice and does a great job, but she does not sound like a 16-year-old. I'd be concerned if I heard a 16-year-old.
Okay, I mean, I overestimated it a little bit because she, as of this recording, she is 94 years old. She was born in the year 1930. Sleeping Beauty came out in 59, but I believe the lines, like the audio, was recorded in 53, which would make her 23 at the time of recording. About right. Isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
She looks and sounds like about 23.
Yeah.
But you know, in the 50s, 16 was what 23 is now. So
well, I mean, she was smoking probably 7 packs a day at that point as an actress. So
is her voice still like that? Jeez.
Well, they thought it helped the voice back then.
Anyway, this is where the real shenanigans begin because, again, this is the day. Also, I don't want any of this to be interpreted as criticism of the movie because I'm having a great time through all of this.
No, for sure.
And they are established as kind of dopey, silly characters.
Yeah.
And I just like to imagine that because they're magic and immortal, they're just kind of above humanity, and they're like, oh yes, we forgot to save the princess. Oh, that's today.
Do you know what it sort of made me think? It's them trying to raise and do all that is almost like the CEO of McDonald's being like, it'd be so much fun to just go and work in a McDonald's for a day, like the undercover boss sort of
we should try raising a baby. Wouldn't that be like a very human experience?
That would be so much fun. We'd only be spending 16 years out of our 20,000 years of existence.
But the point is, they're trying to get a birthday party ready for her.
Yeah.
And so, mistake one, they send her out into the woods unsupervised to go pick berries while they make a dress and a cake and all of that. Feels like we should probably have eyes on her 16th birthday. But that alone is not enough to mess things up.
Merriweather did acknowledge that they messed up on that.
She did, because she's the smartest one.
Yes.
And then the cake and all of that isn't going well. The cake and the dress, which is very funny. All of that sequence is just gold.
Yes.
But finally, they're like, Merriweather's like, I mean it. We just need to use magic for this. So they go and get that, and they do take the precaution of closing all the windows, battening down the hatches, but they forgot the chimney. And after the whole make it blue, make it pink thing, it reveals the situation. So they goofed up again.
Yeah.
They just had to do nothing.
They're villains. Their selfishness got in the way.
And then, if I could just fast forward a little bit, and then when all of this comes to the curse being fulfilled, they're just like, oops, oopsies.
Did I do that?
And then they're like, you know what we do now? We put everyone to sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
So that nobody will notice our error.
That's what they're villains. Their solution, they say they can only do good things. And what do? They roofie everyone. They put everyone to sleep in the city.
But it worked out.
Yeah.
No, not by their help. They didn't know that Philip wasn't there.
I mean, it did.
In the process of roofieing everybody.
No, they're evil. These fairies, they're evil. I am not going to be told otherwise.
They're just a little apathetic. They're just a little removed. They're high on immortality.
Yeah, that they are. Before we actually talk about, is there anything else that we want to talk about before?
I think we kind of need to at least acknowledge the big musical number between Aurora and Prince Philip.
Well, that's what I wanted to dive in just real quick. But before we discuss that, this princess would have been so socially awkward. We're talking about homeschool kid on a whole nother plane of existence where her only friends are animals.
And these aren't even properly talking animals.
No.
They understand English, but they can't speak back.
But I'm pretty sure that they understand English. Ramsey understands English or BMO understands English. They're just around us so much that they know certain words.
These being our household pets who we love very much. But are also pretty dumb. We both have kind of dumb animals.
They're big in heart.
My girlfriend and I like to joke that our cat, he lands in the 49th percentile.
Well, Ramsey is in the 1 percentile, but in a different way. The other end. But anyways.
So yes, but also she's beautiful and has the voice of an angel.
Yes.
And you can get pretty far on that.
Yes. However.
But it kind of stands to reason though. She's been raised by these three crazy people in the woods talking to animals, she sees a very handsome human male and is like, well, this is who I love. This is who I marry.
Not only sees, her first interaction is her, like, she's dancing with him and doesn't even realize that she's dancing with him.
Well, you say first interaction, but she's seen him in her dreams many times.
Obviously.
Which is really just Disney being like, this is pretty quick, isn't it? What if it's like destiny?
Well, you could make an argument that the fairies were like implanting memory, like changing her dreams, like saying, hey, this is Philip. Let's cook it up, making sure that this happens.
Yeah, so that's what she says. If you dream something more than once, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, not true.
I got a lot of misfortune coming. I'm gonna lose my teeth any day.
Yeah.
If I ever get back up on stage, I'm gonna forget all the lines just immediately.
Austin, I'm going to crash the car in my boxer briefs any day now.
Yeah, like into a church. I don't know why it's always a church.
Also, I'm waiting for getting the ability to fly. That's coming.
Well, this is false. Anyway. But so she says that's how she knows that this is going to be true love. But it is, I have to admit, like, the scene they do have together is very romantic and sweet, and the music's very good.
For a 75-minute movie.
Exactly.
It works.
And we have to remember it's the Romeo and Juliet thing. She's 16. This is the first human male she's ever met, likely.
Yeah. I always did wonder, what was Philip doing?
He was just riding
through the woods?
Yeah.
With no guards?
He's got no, what's his name? The horse.
Oh, I wrote it down.
I also wrote it down because he has a great horse name.
He does.
He's one of the best horses in all of animation.
He really is.
Samson.
Samson. Such a good name.
Well, I like the attitude that he gets there. But I don't really have much more to say about this. Do you?
Not particularly. They both have beautiful voices. It wasn't just Costa.
It's the combination, too. They go very well together.
Yes. Is there anything else that we want to really go over in this chapter? Do we want to move on to...
All I'll say is when Aurora's crying herself to sleep there, her like little cottage bedroom is ultimate inspo. Love it. So cozy.
I just love that cottage in general. There's something about a cottage built into a tree, but it's not a tree house.
Yeah.
That's
fun.
Like when I become a billionaire.
You're going to need 50 of those.
In each state. Alrighty. Our second and final chapter. Philip, unaware of Aurora's royal lineage, confides in his father about his desire to marry a peasant girl he met. King Hubert, though concerned, cannot dissuade his son. The fairies bring Aurora to the castle for her birthday celebration, while Maleficent, disguises lures Aurora to a hidden tower room where there's a spinning needle to prick her. She pricks her finger and goes into a deep sleep. Embarrassed by their failure, the fairies put the entire kingdom into the same deep sleep. The fairies place Aurora in the highest tower of the castle, while Maleficent captures Prince Philip and imprisons him in the Forbidden Mountain.
There it is. That's the Forbidden Mountain.
Mm-hmm. Intending to keep him there until he is an old man before releasing him to awake Aurora, who would remain eternally young. The fairies rescue Philip and equip him with a magic sword of truth and a shield of virtue. Maleficent surrounds the castle with an impenetrable forest of thorns. In a fierce battle, Philip confronts Maleficent, who transforms into a monstrous dragon. He ultimately defeats her by throwing his sword into her heart. Philip finds Aurora sleeping in the tower and awakens her with true love's kiss, breaking the spell and awakening the entire kingdom. Aurora reunites with her parents, and the kingdom rejoices as Aurora and Philip celebrate their love with a joyful dance watched over by the benevolent fairies.
Skumps.
Skumps!
Good soup.
Which, that was the best scene in the movie.
The visuals and like when they're dancing on the cloud at the end, or
the fathers.
So yeah, let's talk about the extended celebratory drinking scene in a G-rated children's film, family film.
Yes, I was loving everything about that scene. Like, first of all, is it Hubert or Herbert?
I think Hubert, but I could be wrong.
Favorite character in the movie.
Hashtag relatable.
He was getting he got so drunk that he threatened to kill the other king.
he accosted him with a fish.
Yes, he did. While the bard was over there just getting drunk.
That's funny. You would never see that in a movie made today.
No.
But all those old Tom and Jerry cartoons, that was like a staple. That's like, oh, we had too much of the bad liquid.
Well, when did Prohibition end?
30s?
30? Okay.
Like the early 30s, yeah. It's way before this.
Yeah, it's...
So, yeah, we were back, baby.
They were still celebrating.
Yeah, because Prohibition was like 3 years.
Yeah,
and then we had to celebrate for another 30.
Like, let me tell you, when the war on drugs ends, people are going to be celebrating weed they're already celebrating weed like pretty hard. They don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna get the whole planet smelling like that.
We're gonna turn it's gonna go green. It's gonna go.
Oh my. What a savage hellscape we live in. Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
That scene is fun with the back and forth. Just a little bit of comedy there. Yeah. And kind of outlining more so the stakes of these two coming together to unite the nations.
Yeah. And I think the movie oddly was funny for it being one, an older children's movie, but two, Hubert was providing a lot or involved with a lot of the humor. Like it is the 14th century. Like that line, it came up twice and I chuckled at it both times. Like I was a sucker for it.
He's just also like a funny looking guy. Like he's short and round and like when his son picks him up and he's like, oh, won't let me die.
He does remind me of the king in Cinderella though.
Yeah, which that's worth bringing up here, that in a lot of the quotes I was seeing in my research with this movie is it seemed like they were very conscious in this production of trying to differentiate this from Snow White and Cinderella, which I think that they ultimately did get to making a pretty distinct movie that still sort of feels like those three sort of make a trilogy in my mind.
Yes.
But that considered, it's so weird where there's still a lot of overlap in that. And this is where I'm like, if that was actually a concern, why the pink and blue debate? Like, she looks better in pink. Clearly down the line, they decided that's the way to go because all of the merchandise and artwork of Sleeping Beauty, she's in the pink dress. But I'm like, that's Cinderella. Cinderella is the light blue princess.
Well, here's where
it's not actually a big issue. It perplexes me because that's why they say they have the back and forth. That's why it's always switching, is because the production, they couldn't decide what they wanted either.
Oh, yes, the pink looks better, but the blue still does look really good. And I think in the lore, I could be wrong on this. I'm just pulling this straight out of my ass, possibly a buried memory. But I think in the lore, she was in a blue dress when the prince finds her.
Okay, perhaps.
So maybe...
And I don't disagree. It is a great look. It's just if you're trying to make your own distinct feature, it's odd that you end up with a lot of overlap there. I think that they were very successful in, for example, differentiating Maleficent from the evil queen in Snow White.
Yes.
I'm sure that was a major potential pitfall that they were trying to avoid and creating some differentiating there. Like the evil magic she does is very different. Maleficent is I think more iconically rendered.
I think Maleficent actually reminds me visually of the evil stepmother more than the evil queen.
Yeah, kinda. But better.
Yeah. I mean, like,
It's so metal.
so metal.
And that the scene where she's like hypnotizing Aurora and calling her to the spinning wheel, probably my favorite scene in the movie for how metal it is.
I don't like
Other than the dragon at the end, but like all the Maleficent stuff.
when the fairies are sneaking into the castle and like, well, I'll finish this thought, but I have another discussion that I'd love to pick your brain. But and all of her little minions are dancing around the fire, like that was pretty metal.
Metal also clearly the inspiration for the entire Be Prepared number in Lion King.
Yes.
Watching it again, I was like, oh my goodness.
The green fire.
Yes.
The little minions everywhere.
It's over. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Like that setup did deserve a musical number. Also, I think Maleficent is a little underserved in that she doesn't get a major number.
I almost wonder if the person that they brought on wasn't a singer.
I don't know. But also, 75 minutes and I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
So what am I complaining about?
So I was thinking this. Is her minions orcs or are they like animals that she transformed into humans?
They're I think that the word is Gamorrean guards.
Okay.
No, like because she has like the pig men that are her subjects, right? Well, I have no idea what they're supposed to be. I just got the idea that they were like just like scummy little cave dwellers.
So again, this is talking about Maleficent a little bit. Her crow that she has is actually a human that she turned into a she turns the crow into a human and say like it's a whole thing. But to me, it looks like, her little pig people are like, she turned pigs into like a humanoid, but stopped like halfway through. Because it's not just pigs. Like there's like lizard looking guys, there's bat looking guys, there's like just a whole array of creatures.
All of the dark woodland creatures are represented here.
Yeah. And they're all, without the element of surprise, useless.
This was in the previous chapter too, but when they're like reporting to her and they're like, we checked all the cradles, all of them. And then she realizes that for these past 16 years, they've spent the entire time looking for a baby, even though she hasn't been a baby for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Very funny. I had forgotten about that moment and found it quite amusing.
Yeah. It's, I'll say that's a pretty pivotal moment for me. I really, ever since I saw that moment, I try not to laugh if I don't understand the joke in a situation. Because I know some people will just, it's a whole thing. But
also just like that moment does sort of explain Maleficent's demeanor. Look at who she's hanging out with. Look at all these imbeciles.
She's surrounded by idiots.
Oh man. See, and it's like the second best Disney villain of all time, just to draw on direct inspiration from it. How could it not be?
Oh, exactly. Is there I don't know if you noticed this. When Philip was in his cell, there was that stump that was in the corner with the axe.
I didn't notice that. What's that about?
There was blood on that stump.
From what had they been chopping?
Also, there was a nice little divot where someone could put, I don't know, a head.
Ah!
But it was sitting, like Philip was like in this corner and it was in the other corner, just sitting there. So like Maleficent was in the middle. Philip was right here.
But indeed, Maleficent is the mistress of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And she has even more twisted plan in mind. And the whole like when she lays that out, that she's going to let him like age to be 100 before he can go and try and save the princess. So metal, dude.
She doesn't think about the short term. She's She's got a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, and a 100-year plan.
Oh, I just love her.
She would have killed in business today. That's what
Maleficent for president.
She just needed an LLC and she would have been fine. Just make she would have.
I assume that's what the live action Maleficent sequel gets into.
Yes, she didn't file the paperwork properly.
Yeah, that's about how like Steve Jobs like swindled her out of her patents for the iPod or something.
And then she got cut out of Facebook as well.
You evil tool. I already said the scene where she's like beckoning Aurora is amazing, and the lighting effects in that are incredible. Mm-hmm. The way that they like sort of recolor everything gives it a really eerie vibe that I'm super into. That was before, but then she's taunting Prince Philip, but the good fairies, they sneak in, they bust him out, he's heading away, and this is where the best moment of animation with Maleficent's character happens. So cool, as she's like, turns into like a cloud and like shoots over to the other castle to fight as a dragon.
Yeah. Well, also before, the fairies kill her crow.
They do?
Like, they turn the crow into stone.
Oh, yeah, they stoned him. Yeah.
Yeah, like, they killed him.
That counts, but I really appreciated that in this movie, they straight up kill the villain.
Yeah.
Like, stabbed through the heart. Yeah, she had to turn into a dragon first, so they're not stabbing a humanoid through the heart.
Stabbing a woman.
Even worse. But they commit to it. And that is something that's like, it's like a meme that the only thing that kills people in Disney movies is gravity. Not here.
Gravity got the assist.
Yes. Yes. And I think that we don't even see Maleficent fly. She has decorative wings in her dragon form.
No, it was like, we'll obviously dive more into her.
I think that's coming up. I only have a few more things, but what do you got?
Well, no,
our Dragon Grade.
Yeah, our Dragon Grade's coming up. I love everything from when she's like, I love this movie in general, but especially once she arrives in her room and is being beckoned up to the spindle, to when Philip kills Maleficent. Like, visually, like, everything looks good in this part of the movie. Like the Mountain of Darkness. Is that what it was? Mountain of Darkness? I know I just said it.
The Forbidden Castle, or what was it?
I have it in my notes. The Forbidden Mountain.
Uh-huh.
Everything with the Forbidden Mountain looks great. Like, the fists that are holding the chains on the bridge, like...
Metal, dude.
Yeah. The thorns that she casts to surround the castle.
Yeah, which he's cutting through there.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, like, Maleficent as the dragon, like...
And that like yellow, green, purple, black palette is so winning. But now I'm just talking about things for the Dragon Grade.
Yeah.
Do you have more on the actual movie?
You might argue with this a little bit, but I could have stood to have this movie be 85 minutes long, just to give Maleficent, Maleficent needed a musical number. I wouldn't have mind Aurora's character fleshed out just a tad bit more, but all in all, visually, this movie was awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody sort of comes to with it is, and if you're not icked out by the ending there, which having watched the movie today, it's not as bad as people make it out to be when they do the line. It's like, oh, the princess, she gets kissed by a hot guy she's never met, and then they get married. There's a little bit more to that, and I think that it tends to like represent like their thing. Like it's like a fantasy movie in the sense that like this is like a fantasy ideal of love.
Yes.
And it's baked into the actual plot of it. Like the only way that he's going to be able to wake her up is like if their love is true. So in the actual lore, they are perfect for each other. They are soulmates, even if that does not really translate to the real world and maybe gives some young people some weird ideas about love. that can be a little bit sticky, but this is one of the best looking animated movies, just period.
Yes.
So I think that it is a technical triumph.
Yes.
And then, it loses a few points in some of the story, some of the weaker characters, but all around a great time. Did you have any other thoughts before we get into our grading process?
No, I'm all for getting into the grade.
Okay, so we are talking about Maleficent.
Yes.
And I have a pretty good feeling about this one, but I'm going to let you lead us off and give me a score. The first of 5 categories. Give me a score 1 to 10 on the design for the dragon Maleficent.
Just to start off, Maleficent, both like her dragon form and even her regular form, because you could argue that her human form has the dragon inspiration because she has the horns on her headdress.
I had the same thought. I love the continuity between the two.
Mm-hmm. And like whenever she like magically appears anywhere, it looks like wings spreading behind her as she appears. But especially like I think we talked more at length in the Quest for Camelot episode, but this dragon clearly has inspired fantasy in general
all the dragons.
She might
like you're designing a dragon for a movie. You're like, all right, okay, let's look at some of the Maleficent art prints. Yeah, well, we can't do exactly that, but let's get close.
We say Daenerys is the mother of dragons. I think Maleficent is the mother of dragons.
1959, baby.
I think she looks great. The color scheme has worked. She's got that bulky look that I like in my drag. She's not a slim dragon. She got that big, thick dragon energy.
Big thick dragon, what?
She thick. This might be a shock. Austin, she's a 10.
She is a 10. I agree. Well, we'll just bipartisan it. Scooplock fan. 10 out of 10 on the design. I don't have much more to say other than I think I already said that the palette that they choose for her is just so iconic and winning. And it just really works.
Yes.
I'm glad because I'm sure there was a temptation to do red, but the yellow and the like green fire is so iconic.
Purple.
Yes. But how about the special effects on this? So more so the animation quality of the dragon character.
This is where like I genuinely enjoy it. Like it is good. When she was turning into the dragon, it looks good, but it gave more of like illusion magic. Like that's the only thing that I'm docking on it. I'm saying it's a 9, but it's strictly just because like if you go back and watch the transformation when she's turning, like it's almost like waves on it. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, but everything else like looks great to me.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the hand-drawn look. I mean, it takes a impossible amount of effort, and I think you get a real result that's just like undeniable once it's done right. There are a couple instances in that dragon fight where certain things kind of freeze up, like even elements of her. She's not in constant motion, but overall it's great, and I'm really not complaining. Like I'm just making some minor reductions, and it's like a strong 8 out of 10 for me in the animation.
Yeah.
And that's especially like all of the newer Miyazaki stuff, which one of my biggest regrets in doing this podcast is not giving Haku a 10 on the animation, because as I was looking at all of those clips, I'm like, what was I smoking that day? This is the gold standard. But I'm just saying, like, that's the same technique, and I've seen it done with more fluidity, more detail, more impressively overall.
Yeah.
But you also kind of like that like nostalgic sheen over this gives it a couple bonus points. I already said 8 out of 10. What are you going to give Maleficent scale of 1 to 10 as a character?
I like her character. Like she's sassy, she's funny, she's the queen of evil. I really think we needed a musical number from her just to get more of her personality, because I really feel like there's something a little lacking, but again, we're almost there. Like she's portrayed in like, I really do just She's a petty bitch.
You get a lot from her, I think.
She's a 9.
Okay, 9 out of 10 from Bryce on that category. I don't care. She's a 10. And I am sort of handicapping that because it's like, okay, we're talking about a 75-minute movie, and the fact that this character makes such an impression in that and just looms over the whole thing like that. Every scene that she's in, she totally commands. She dominates. The voice work is incredible.
Yes.
Which I'm roping into this. She has like a noble tone, but it's still, there's just like an undercurrent of disgust in every line reading.
Yes.
That I really appreciate that balance. 10 out of 10.
I can't argue with that.
Skumps.
Now
the movie overall, scale of 1 to 10, the media that she appears in.
I really enjoy this movie. If I were to go back and watch all the main Disney movies, I'd probably put this up top 5 for sure. Like possibly top 3, but I'm going to confidently say top 5. Again, they could have done more with Aurora. I love that musical number, but all in all, I love this movie. I'm giving it the 9 out of 10. It's almost there for me. Again, like
Trip 9s, huh?
It's Trip 9s.
It's a great movie. I maybe I'm a little bit more bothered by some of the thinner character elements than you, but we've been talking about it. Mostly positives. I would say that if you do like that trilogy that we're talking about there, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, I think Cinderella still tops. So there is a standard beyond this, but yeah. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Another strong 8 out of 10.
Do you mind if I just go back to expand a little bit on?
Please.
So with that, I really think I agree, and it does bother me, but at the same time, I feel like if they would have gone more into Aurora's character, more into Maleficent's character, and again, I know I was just saying I want more of Maleficent's character, we wouldn't be getting my favorite part of the movie, where we're getting the kings interacting. We're not getting the fairies over there bickering. I think they wanted to have more than just the love story between Philip and Aurora. Like they wanted to have a bigger world with a bigger universe. So they brought in these other characters, which yes, it could pull away from these actual characters that the movie's based off of. But I love these little side conversation and side things going on. So I that's part of the reason why I gave it so high, because these side conversations, these side things that are going on are compelling to me and enjoyable.
Yeah. And I think that I should just, in agreeing with you, clarify that what I just said, I feel like is sort of the line people use. That It's like, oh, well, when Maleficent's not on screen, it's kind of a snooze. And I agree with that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that issue is largely overblown when people talk about this Disney film.
The movie's not metal when she's not on screen.
No. But we only have one category remaining, and that is the X Factor on Maleficent.
So this is
uniqueness and anything that distinguishes her from other dragons.
It's hard because she's the prototype.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
So, like, to say that she's unique is not necessary. Like, she's not necessarily unique, but it's not her fault that she's not unique, because she is the mother of dragons, which I'm still going to give her quite a bit of points for being the inspiration, but I'm not going to give her the 10 out of 10 just because, I guess, because her design is a 10, she can't be a 10 in the X Factor. But I do love like the pupilless green eyes. I love her drip that she comes out when she's in a human form. I wish, I wanted to see how long she actually was in dragon form. I'm pretty sure she wasn't in dragon form longer than 2 minutes.
Oh, no. No, unfortunately.
No, I'd be surprised if she was longer than like 90 seconds. Like,
yeah, but it's a delicious 90.
It really is. But
120, whatever.
But again, like the green fire, excellent. The green eyes, excellent. She's the mother of dragons. I'm giving her an 8 out of 10 for uniqueness. And again, I know that it's strictly just because she's so good in design that everyone has to copy her.
She is so good. And this is the one where we've said this is the category where if you want to fudge it a little bit, you can. I agree with you that it would be against the spirit of this category to give it a 10, much as I want to, because I love this character and dragon so much. But I do think that there's a lot of flavor that's unique to this character in her human form as well. So like even if we were comparing the like human version of this dragon to other human, like is there a word for that? Avatar, whatever. She's very distinct in her physical appearance, the way that she acts, the way that she's a boss. Also, like, for how iconic the palette is, I really feel like the like purple, yellow, green on black hasn't been used because people just recognize that you can't do Maleficent. Like, Maleficent owns that palette.
Yeah.
So that's unique. Also, vestigial wings, I think. I don't think she flies, but she has wings. That's unusual. At the end of all of this, I'm going to give it not a 10, but I think I can go up to an 8 as well. So I'll match you there.
8 is great.
Indeed, because this brings Maleficent in the film Sleeping Beauty's final score to an 8.9 out of 10. And I think that deserves a round of applause real quick, because I'm certain that is the highest score that we have given any dragon in any medium to date.
I'll she might be a lot more deserving of certain scores than
the first round of House of the Dragon scores all kind of come with an asterisk, but she still blows them out of the water. And she did it fair and square.
She did. She had the ankle weights on. But that's Sleeping Beauty. Appreciate everyone sticking with us.
Now a little bit of business.
Austin, do you want to take the floor real quick?
I guess so. Guys, it's a sad day for Big Liz. I'm not sure how to say this other than just to come out and say that it's been a great ride on this end of the table, but ultimately I have decided to step away from this project as a co-host, as an equal partner, and leave it in Bryce's capable hands moving forward. The main thing I want to say on top of that is this is definitely not bad blood. We're still buddies, and I mean, part of this is just like auditing our friendship and like, okay, well, what is doing the show done for us? Has it been a net positive, net negative? Are we more in the middle? And after trying to make some changes, I've ultimately come down on this is probably not the most worthwhile use of my resources and time, much as I do enjoy doing these episodes. Yeah. So I appreciate the you going with me this far. I wish that I could take it further, but that's the reality of the situation, and I'm excited to see where Bryce goes with it from here.
Yeah, again, like, I mean, I just want to say thank you for going, as I know that we've had conversation for a while now about it, and it has been fun, but I also understand that this direction, and again, Austin said there is no bad blood there, and who knows, he might make a guest appearance every once in a while over there, to be determined on that front.
Yeah, we've certainly talked about maybe bringing it back in all its glory for House of the Dragon, but we'll see where we're at in our lives when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. But I do just want to assure everybody that we're still going to be doing episodes. There's going to be some changes going up, so I just ask as everyone bears with me as we're doing that. I'm planning on reaching out to other creators to be collaborating and doing some more group projects together. We might delve into streaming. So that so I don't necessarily take on the full title of Prince of Production more of a Popper production. But I can't say this enough, Austin. Like, I appreciate I've had a blast doing this with you, and I mean, I hope you know that you are like one of the most important people in my life, and that's not going to change on this. And glad we've gotten the almost 40 episodes in together doing this.
It's a lot of recordings. Yeah, definitely don't regret it from my end. And if you're interested in more stuff from me, I'm not looking to like disappear from the internet. Going into 2024, I had ambitions to do this show and also kind of like my own YouTube channel, whatever, with like some coverage of not just Dragon Media. And so as I'm stepping away from this, ended up basically eating up all of the time that I had for that. So I'm going to try some of that, see if it's a better balance for me. And you're welcome to check me out on most platforms. I'll be operating under the title The Media Binge.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking about new music, movies, old as well, reactions to new content, video essays. That's my intention.
Yeah.
So,
and I shared Austin's breakdown of Kendrick Lamar's album GNX.
Yeah, well, I did a reaction. That was a lot of fun. We'll see if more album reactions are in the future. I know that's pretty different than what we've been doing on this show.
For sure. But I was bringing that up just like if you want to, like if you guys didn't catch that, you can go ahead and go check out on our timeline, seeing it there. Give him a follow. And again, like, it's been a blast. Excited to...
And I'll be around, you know.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's the big news, the big change moving into this next year.
Yeah.
And on some level, I'm just excited to be able to just enjoy this show as an audience member. I know you have some great guests lined up, and maybe there'll be some growing pains with the transition, but I think that ultimately the spirit of Big Liz is still alive and well.
There's a lot of Big Liz energy that's going to be going out. But Austin, do you have one last question for the audience?
Ooh, yes. Well, we haven't talked Disney proper up until this point, so I would like some opinions on, I'm going to say, best Disney movie pre the year 2000.
Okay.
If you want to do a top 3, you can hit us with that. Is Sleeping Beauty among those for any of our listeners? As we said, it probably is for the two of us.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But excited to hear that. Excited to see the comments. And I don't know if you know what movie is coming up next week, or in 2 weeks. But I'm sure something's coming down the pike. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm in communication with some people right now trying to figure out what's going to be best. So TBD.
Keep your eyes and ears peeled.
But cheers to Big Liz.
Skumps!
Skumps!
Take care, everybody.
Hey, good night.
We didn't even drink here.
That's all for this week's Dragon Lore. Takes cold and hot, spread shore to shore. Enjoyed yourself? Please join the squad. Follow on social media at Big Liz Pod. And one quick reminder before you go, to rate, review, and share the show. Thank you for listening. It means a lot. See you next week, same time, same spot.